Is it possible to say goodbye to alopecia areata? That's what we're going to be discussing today. This is Dr. Dwella Mota Nelson, your healthy scalp specialist. First of all, let's talk about what alopecia areata is. Let's talk about that first. Alopecia is an autoimmune disease that actually attacks the follicles that create hair. That's all over your body. Some people have alopecia that's specific to the scalp. Some people lose their eyebrows. Some people lose their eyelashes. Some people lose their hair on their skin and their legs and arms. You can lose hair all over the body. So it's not specific to one area of the body, but because your hair is so dense, of course, on your head, that's probably going to be the most noticeable symptom when you have alopecia areata. So that kind of gives you an idea about what alopecia areata is first. Now let's talk about some of the causes of alopecia areata. I know you're wanting to get to the meat of this particular video, which is it curable? But let's talk a little bit about that first. So 4 things that we know will definitely cause alopecia areata. We know that it's hereditary. So if you look at your mom, your dad, and your family members, and they're starting to lose their hair, or you see patches, bald patches on the scalp, more than likely, if you are seeing it on your scalp as well, it is hereditary. We do know that. The second thing, medications. You can go through and start taking a particular type of medication that can cause you to start to lose some hair. You also can start to have these bald patches on the scalp. When using different medications, I know specifically blood pressure medication can thin your hair, thyroid medication can thin your hair, diabetic medications can thin your hair. But just look at when you are taking your prescription medications, look at the side effects. A lot of times we take our medications and we don't think about the side effects that come along with taking medications. I just feel like it's a good idea always to take a look at those side effects, see if there's anything that's listed that says that maybe you'll have some hair loss when using these medications. The third thing I'll say is being healthy, having a healthy diet, having a healthy lifestyle. So the medications is one side, but health conditions or untreated health conditions is another situation. It's another reason that you can potentially have hair loss or potentially have the onset of alopecia areata. Now, I know you're trying to find something that's great for thinning hair and also something that you can use for bald spots and little areas that are not growing in as quickly as possible. Our Nutritive Scalp Elixir Growth Kit is perfect for that. Just click the link below to go to the website and get the Nutritive Scalp Elixir Growth Kit. So making sure that you're healthy, you're hydrated, you're eating healthy foods, that you're making sure that you do yearly exams to make sure that your blood work looks great. Those things are all important. So those are 3 things that we know that lead to alopecia areata. And the 4th thing, we mentioned before that it is an autoimmune disease. So it may just be something that's inside of your body that's causing your body to attack your cells, attack the cells that are specific to helping you to grow hair, attacking your scalp. In itself, alopecia areata is an autoimmune disease. So those are 4 reasons that you might be losing your hair. Of course, many people do experience alopecia when they're going through a lot of stressful moments in life. So, I've been pregnant and I had postpartum depression for a while there, and I did lose hair when I had that. And so, that is kind of circular, and we'll talk about that definitely at another time. But when you go through something like having a child and you're kind of down and you're feeling a little bit blue, then your hair starts falling out, then you feel more blue. So it definitely is a circular type of situation. But I did want to mention that those women who have gone through pregnancy and are feeling a little bit blue after they have their kids and they're starting to notice that hair loss, it's always best to try to pay attention to it. Don't just kind of push it to the side and say, I'll handle it later. The longer that you put off doing any type of treatment for alopecia areata, the harder it is to treat that particular condition. So now to the meat and potatoes and what you've been waiting for. And so you want to know if alopecia areata is curable. The short answer to that is yes, it is curable. The long answer is most of it is not, because people wait for such a long time to seek treatment. So perfect example, there's a little girl that doesn't live too far from us. Her mom called and she said, hey, my daughter, she has beautiful, thick growing hair. And I saw this little this bald spot at the top of her head. And we have some images of that little girl. But she's a grade schooler, and she had a little small bald spot, maybe the size of a dime. And then a couple of months later, the mom called back and said, my daughter, this bald spot is getting bigger. It's now the size of a quarter. Do you have anything for it? I'm going to go see a dermatologist to let them look at her scalp. But I just wanted to call you because I know that you do a lot of natural things for hair and scalp. And so, I told her, I said, well, let me look and make sure that the things that I would suggest for her are ideal for this particular situation. In the meantime, she did go to see a dermatologist. When she went to see a dermatologist, she said, Dwella, I went to see this dermatologist and she wants to do injections to my baby scalp. And this mom she did not want to do that. She was really nervous about it. She wasn't sure how her daughter, who was a grade schooler, was going to react to that. And it was supposed to be very painful as well. So she didn't want to have her daughter experience pain where she didn't have to. And so we ended up using Alopecia Repair Balm, the growth kit with the derma roller. And the pictures that are shown below will show essentially, well, she used that for a couple of months. And it took maybe a month or so before she started to see some hair start to come in those bald spots. But in a number of months, with less than 4 or 5 months, that entire bald spot had grown in. But I'll say the positive to that is that mom was paying attention to that baby scalp. The mom was paying attention and she saw that bald spot. She immediately wanted to do something about it. She didn't wait around and say, oh, I'm going to just wait till, it gets a little bit bigger, or I'm going to wait and call around and I'm going to see how it goes. She was very vigilant. She was very determined. She immediately wanted to do something about it. And so I always suggest, so that's the short answer, yes. As soon as you start to see hair loss, as soon as you start to see a little tiny spot on your scalp that might not have hair, as soon as you start to see more hair in your sink than normal, or more hair in your shower than normal, more hair on your brush or your comb than normal. If you start to see more hair or more hair drop around the house, on your shoulders, on your clothes when you're getting dressed, start to address it as soon as you see that. You don't want to wait for 3, 4, 5 months. A lot of clients will call and say, I saw my hair falling out 5 years ago and I didn't do anything about it. And now when they come to me, they have more of a very slick kind of balding on the scalp where you can't see any follicles, you can see into the pores. It's essentially like looking at, if you think of an orange, the peel of an orange is how you would think of your scalp if you had pores that were visible. If you think of the outside of an egg, that is how your scalp looks when your follicles have gone dormant. By the time you get to the point that your follicles are dormant, like the surface of an egg, for instance, your follicles are usually dormant and they're not going to produce hair. So, you can buy any type of oil that you want to, any type of treatment that you want to do. Generally, that hair does not grow back. So that's the flip side of the no part of if it's curable, yes or no. So with that, I would say no. So if you've been trying to treat your scalp, or if you waited to the point where your scalp is looking very smooth, there's no follicles that you can see at all, it's very, very difficult to get that hair to grow back. Now, science has definitely moved forward in that area where you have people that their hair is not growing back at all. There's actually a method that they can use to do injections to the scalp, and they are called PRP injections. You have to go in for a series of injections. There's a couple of doctors around the country that do this. I will tell you, it's a very painful method to try to get your hair back. They don't guarantee you that your hair is going to grow back, but many people, when they go to do it, and there's a bunch of, I think there's a TV show out now about it as well, but you'll see these women getting injections, and literally as they're getting injections, they're crying. They're crying in the chair because it's so painful. They have to ask to take a break because it's so painful. They can only give you so much medication to the scalp to numb it. You're going to feel those injections. So I always recommend, even though that's to the extreme, that's a method that people have found to be very helpful. But for one, it's quite expensive. And for two, it's very, very painful. I always, like I mentioned before, I always recommend if you can start to treat early and get your hair to start to grow back before you get to that point where your hair is all gone and the scalp is looking more like the smooth surface of an egg. If you can get started as soon as you see that hair loss, you have a better chance of growing your hair back in. So I hope that this was really helpful. I hope that those visuals help you to understand kind of what to expect if you're experiencing alopecia areata, if it's curable. Again, please subscribe, ring the notification bell button. Join us, follow us here for more information. And if you have questions, please make sure that you drop those questions below. We are happy to get your questions, excited to see what your questions are. And if you are liking our videos, we please continue to share our channel with others. And thank you for listening. This is Dr. Dwella Moten Nelson, your healthy scalp specialist. Thanks.